When you buy an old phone, you certainly don't expect it to bring you more than just a nostalgic item for your interior. But what if I told you that this phone, which you want to place on a shelf as an old trinket, could actually become the source of fear that's almost unimaginable? In this video, you'll hear the story of a young woman who made one mistake by buying this old phone, not realizing that with this gesture, she was opening a door to another dangerous world. And if you're afraid of mysterious stories and unexpected twists of fate, then be prepared. This video will be a true test for you. The girl's name was Anna. She was young and naive, with a regular life, a job in an office, simple joys, hanging out with friends, parties. Her life was predictable, and there were no bright exceptions. However, everything changed the moment she stumbled upon an antique shop where battered items were being sold at ridiculous prices. There, her eyes caught an old phone with a yellowed screen. Just a small detail, thinking it was some old toy, she bought it and decided to place it on a shelf. That night, Anna was particularly tired. It was time to go to bed, and forgetting about her new purchase, she turned off the light and settled into bed. Everything was peaceful, until a strange call came in. She woke up to the sound of a phone ringing, and there was something horribly familiar and strange about the silence of the night. Anna's heart beat faster when she saw that it was the very old phone. How could it ring on its own? Mentally, she cursed herself for her carelessness, and once again, acted like the curious girl who decided to pick up the receiver. When she did, the voice on the other end was not what she expected to hear. The voice was calm, yet incredibly muffled, as if echoing from long-gone eras. There was coldness in its words. The voice simply said, "You will die tonight." Anna almost dropped the phone. She didn't understand anything. She asked to repeat it, but the line went dead. Anxiety beat in her chest. Who could have said that? Where did such a terrible and confident voice come from? But despite her fear, she continued to think, as everyone usually does in such cases, it's just a dream or some invisible joke. Still shaken by this strange incident, Anna tried to fall back asleep. That night, the phone didn't ring again, and it seemed everything returned to normal. But a few days later, it all happened again. The call, the same voice, the same words. The phone seemed to have come alive and began ringing every night, consistently repeating the same thing, but with small additional details. Anna tried again and again to explain it rationally, but with every new conversation, the words became more and more disturbing. With every call, something unusual happened. The calm prediction of the woman's death began turning into strange and eerie descriptions of her death in different situations. You will fall down the stairs, you will touch the blade, and blood will flow. These nightmares filled her thoughts, and despite her desire to get rid of the phone, it kept returning. This nightmarish scenario was unimaginable. For several days, with each new call, new disturbing details began to emerge in her life. Random, but so eerie that Anna could no longer deny that she had to do something about this evil. The woman tried to find answers. What could she possibly do? She felt that this whole situation was far beyond a simple joke or a hoax. One day, deciding that enough was enough, Anna gathered all her resolve to get rid of the cursed phone. But despite all her efforts, the phone kept reappearing on her desk. She no longer knew how to fight this horror. Her life began to turn into emptiness. Each prediction came true, and she grew ever closer to the terrible prediction of her end. Nothing worked, and she felt it. Just at that moment, waking up again in the middle of the night, Anna felt the phone ring once more. This time, she no longer thought it was another game of the mind or fear. She understood that she was facing something truly supernatural, something from the movies, but something you never think could touch your life. At the moment of this final call, the words from the voice on the other end became unbearable. He knew her like no one else. When the voice began to speak again, Anna felt her heart stop. His words became even more personal, describing every detail of her life. You will step outside and fall into the void, and death will wait at your doorstep. This prediction was no longer just a threat. It became some sort of supernatural truth. A truth from the depths of the night that made her realize she couldn't avoid her fate. Anna's heart raced wildly, and her mind spiraled in a whirl of fear and confusion. What if the phone really could predict her death? Her hands trembled, and her eyes never left the phone, as if she were expecting the next call. All her attempts to fight this nightmare were in vain. Some internal feeling wouldn't let her rest, telling her that what was happening was not just a hallucination. Perhaps she had become part of someone's evil plan. This was no simple nightmare. The anxiety grew with every prediction, and more questions arose with each one. This voice knew too much. In search of a way out, Anna began to dig into the history of the phone, investigating its past. Old magazines, yellowed pages, hints of tragedies, and strange coincidences of ordinary deaths. All this gradually pulled her into the abyss. Every investigation, every guess about the phone's previous owner ended with a chilling fact. The phone was not just an object. It turned out to be some sort of curse passed down from generation to generation. One night, as she tried to find even the slightest answer, she suddenly heard it again. That eerie voice now felt not only through the phone, but in her heart. "You can't hide, Anna. You know your death is foretold. Why fight when inevitability is already near?" These words made her lose all connection with reality. It seemed as though her life had turned into something strange and foreign, as if everything happening was not her story, but someone else's nightmare. With each passing day, the sensations became more intense, and the mounting unease made Anna realize that escaping from this phone was impossible. This ancient device had become some dark conduit, connecting her to the otherworldly. And despite her attempts to sever the connection, the phone always returned to her again and again, like an unrelenting timepiece, working with precision. Then, on the night when she had completely lost all hope, Anna decided to face this terror head-on. No matter how hard she tried to get rid of the phone, no matter how hard she tried to disconnect the lines, she knew these nightly calls would keep intruding into her life until she faced the inevitable. And that night, when the phone buzzed again, she made the decision to pick up the receiver for the last time. Her hand trembled, as if on the verge of inevitable death, and she cautiously took the phone. The voice sounded again, but this time its words were clearer than ever. "You cannot escape your fate. You will vanish without a trace, and your death will be as mysterious as the disappearance of your phone." This final call was like the closing chord of a horrifying symphony. Earlier, she had tried to find reasons for these calls, attempting to rationalize them as hallucinations or stress, but now she felt that she had lost all control. With every new prediction, the voice ripped her from reality and led her into a world where there was no place for salvation. The only thing left for Anna was to search for answers in the history of what happened to the phone's previous owners. Her investigations led her to the truth. All of them had died under the most terrible and mysterious circumstances. Anna realized that she had become part of this chain, a participant in an unfathomable game with no way out. To accept it was impossible. And in the very end, when everything that had been happening became inevitable, Anna felt her life, once calm and predictable, being overtaken by a wave of senseless fear. All the predictions of her death had come true. And on that night, when she could do nothing, the phone finally fell silent. The silence was everywhere, and she knew that whatever happened, death had still come for her. And what became of that phone after her death? Who will be next? These terrifying questions haunted both her and us. No matter how much we try to dismiss the absurdity, there's always room for monstrous mysteries in such circumstances. This will never end. And now, you're listening to this story, full of horror and fear, hoping that it will never repeat. But perhaps one day, this mysterious phone will find its way to you. Who knows? Maybe you'll be its next owner? If this story scared you as much as it scared us, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more creepy stories. Let us know in the comments what you think about this story and what, in your opinion, should be done to avoid such a fate. We'll definitely answer your questions, and your support means a lot to us. Be cautious, and remember, sometimes fear is just the beginning of something much more terrifying.